So. This is a Google document, or it's a PDF. It's a document that was made by one of my mods, Draknus. And it was also made with multiple other people as well in the spoilers chat. I'm sure Drac has a list of everyone that helped him out and stuff. And he's also said he's gonna, once done, he's gonna, I think, post it everywhere, basically. But we're gonna check it out. And this is a guide to the in-game UI and some read order recommendations. Credit them at the end? Okay, that's perfect then. And this is for Arknights. This is kind of like a story thing, you know? And I want to check it out. And I always love PDFs. These are fun. So let's, it's a couple pages. You know what?
No. Nothing.
No.
I thought you...
Nope. I can't hear myself think. Okay. Time for this session. Okay. It's a guide on the story, sort of. So I guess I'll have to move around my overlay while this works. I think down here is fine. The in-game Arknights story reader is fairly comprehensive after their most recent UI update in late August 2025, but it can still be fairly overwhelming and hard to understand for newer players. Here's some basics to help read order for this guide. It will always be red, green, cyan, and orange. Okay, red is 1, then green is 2, then cyan is 3, and then orange is 4? Okay. Okay. When entering the main menu, the score button shows you the main story timeline. Okay. The movement allows you to change from timeline to view more condensed list of view movements. Okay. Oh no, go back. This button lets you select different storylines while remaining in the timeline view. The menu will always start in the MSQ main story quest. Okay. Still in a good spot. It's fine. It's fine. Once you finish chapter 6, you'll notice this branch from, wait, what was it again? Red, green, cyan, orange. Okay. Once you finish chapter 6, you notice this branch from the MSQ. This means there's a side story that is... Oh. I didn't know that. And the side story is relevant to the next main chapter. The game recommends you play first. You also see the side storylines, and it's generally safe to do full storyline up to these rather than stopping after each story. It's recommended but not required to play these branching stories before continuing MSQ. They add a lot of context to some of the best stories in the game. Orange is last, okay. Note, not all side stories will appear as branches. Most of them take place years before or after the MSQ, or even very little relevance. You can use this main timeline to reliably tell you what is important. Okay, not bad. We'll be hitting movements to the next page. Okay. Red, green, blue, orange. As you can see, movements lays out your story much more simply in chronological order. Let me move myself to the top right. Scrolling down will reveal the side stories also in chronological order. However, from this view, you no longer will see where they line up compared to MSQ. You can also use the reward and completion buttons to show the key rewards for each story and how many stages are still left to complete. Each point for completion equates to 1 star of a stage, so 3 stars for a normal mission, 4 stars for a challenge mission. Generally, this can be used to gauge how long an event may be. Oh, okay. Yep. Now hit back once you get to the timeline view. Wait, no, sorry. Hitting movements again shows you all the events in release order and instead of chronological order. Note this is green always. Okay. New events at top. Now hit back. We're at 6 out of 26. On arrival at the timeline again, hit the side story button. Is it green next? It's red, green, blue, right? I think so. Side stories are generally listed in order of importance to main story. They will also each tell you when they split off or start with another story. Include blue, orange. Okay. Next story section. Code of Brawl. This arrow means everything to the right of this takes place or is meant to be read explicitly after the listed story. Oh. Okay. Okay. Oh, purple. Was there always a purple? how we... Purple's a new color. This is new. Is there always purple? Purple's new. Purple's new. Why is purple? Even the guy who made the dock is like, why is there purple there? It should be orange? Okay, that's fine. That's fine. Within the game, there exist 3 fundamentally different types of stories. These generally are connected to how their associated events were held. It doesn't matter for this discussion. We'll address future events later. The first in green boxes is the obvious main story. Yep. Okay. The longest terms of number of stages, but not necessarily in terms of word count. The second in blue boxes are side events / intermezzies. The difference between the two is most of their connection to MSQ and otherwise are from fairly similar. Okay. Third types are called vignettes. These are a compilation of short stories told from usually multiple character perspectives and often are not directly linked together. They can be easily identified by the round record symbol on them. We'll go more in detail on the vignettes in the next page. Okay. Within the here is the operational intelligence, the first released vignette. First thing worth pointing out is that there are no playable event stages, only a few story buttons. Okay, that's not bad. Ooh, green's next. I think. Within the view story, you will see several playable story-only records. These can be unlocked via information fragments. These can be purchased by red certificates in the shop. Cool. Once you've unlocked the story, you don't even need to read it. You can go to Record Restoration and claim the limited time rewards from the event that aired with the vignette. Oh, okay. That's nice. That's nice. Got this. And now you know how the story UI works. Congratulations. Now you can approach the story however you like. There are truly no wrong order to read. This said, if you want some recommendations, can you go on Dear Reader? If not, enjoy some memes. First meme in bottom left. In-game dialogue, read. Global Arknights players. You guys don't fucking read. Fucking scumbags. Now start story. Skip. This is Disgrace to Siracusa. Reading time. Is it terrible? Okay, continuing on. Why are the colors different? Whatever. So you want some extra guide? Wait. The green changed color though. It's a different green. So you want some extra guidance? Let's start simple. After you finish the prologue of the game, called Act Initium in the timeline, and are at chapter 4, Burning Run, by Act 1, then you have 2 options. Oh. Okay. Hold a second. We finished this. So we're on Act 1. Okay. Option 1, continue through the MSQ until you finish the chapter 6, at which point the timeline will point you to Dark Knight Memoir before chapter 7. I highly recommend you finish the side story before you can hit chapter 7. Okay. Option 2, follow the release order and play Granny and the Knight's Treasure. This was the first ever event and can easily be found by either swapping movements over to unlock time, just go to the bottom as shown previously, or by going to the Glimpse of the Depths storyline. This is the beginning of the Aegir storyline, which is highly beloved. This will essentially set you on the path toward either playing in chronological order or release order. There is a third option, however. Play the story by country / faction of interest. Ooh. The base of the style of reading is to find the side stories that most interest you. Most of the storylines in the timeline view are focused on a country or faction within the game. With the next several slides, I'll give you some very basic introductions to each storyline, some recommendations for when to read them. To start at the very bottom of the timelines, you have Tales of Terra. These are generally the most disconnected of the side stories, but also often used as a beginning start for many others. Its timeline set up slightly differently than everything else. Code of Brawl is a great starting point for the side stories as well. It takes place after Chapter 8. It has no spoilers at all. It also acts as the beginning of many other storylines. You'll likely notice that timeline branches occur seemingly random here, with Chapter 9 showing up before Chapter 4. In the Tales of Terra storyline, these are not meant to be used as read order, but instead as markers on which when they occur. Stories to their own right are best read after chapter listed. Okay. Common catastrophes take place after Chapter 9. It's also recommended to read it before the masses travels. Operational intelligence takes place and /or is the best read after Chapter 4. This is a vignette which focuses on background characters during chapters 0 through 4, as well as using Ryan Labs and other characters. Actually, I quite liked the music from Ryan Labs, so we're gonna try it out. Oh, myself stop right again. Small side stories for Rhodes Island itself, some for post chapter 4. Many are just nice little moments of happiness, nice break from the dark world of Terra. Everything else is chapter 1 markers or vignettes that don't have any other real requirements. Maybe you skip backstory for characters. Overall, by skipping summaries on these, you can read at any time you feel. Once you scroll to the right, you'll see this chapter 14 marker. Obviously, to the right, that'll be spoilers. Okay. Summertime Beats is less of a storyline in itself, more just location of all summer events. While they do take place at specific points in the MSQ, none of them spoil anything. And generally recommend just playing these in order, as some of them do act as sequels to each other, shown below. Oh, okay. That's fine. Rekindle Flame. Rekindle Flame is a branching story after Chapter 9. It's highly recommended you read this in Timelines Official. Or here, as shown below, the MSQ will pull you towards this one when the time is right. Spire of Mirages is a Leithanien story. If you're interested in Germanic cultures of Leithanien, or heard of the Witch King, we have heard of the Witch King, from certain YouTubers is a source of much of that info. The storyline doesn't require any MSQ to start, but I would recommend playing the storyline before Chapter 13 of MSQ. MSQ will not branch the story, warn you. Spire of Mirages are also linked with the Blessed, which we will cover next. Twilight of Wolmont technically takes place after Chapter 8, but will not reference anything from the MSQ directly. This is technically the first ever appearance of Mudrock, who has a vignette story on Rewinding Breeze that happens soon after. Y'all really like Mudrock. So, Lingering Echoes is best played during chapters 9 through 14. This can only be pieced together via context clues. The Blessed is all about Laterano. As you can see, this is the first storyline that requires Code of Brawl. However, as I'll note below, you should probably wait until you finish Chapter 9. Stories are all connected with each other, and similar characters coming here and there, where the relations that change refer to change the Lord. Guide Ahead takes place chronologically after Chapter 9. Will not make many direct references to it, but there are some context clues. Hortus de Escapissimo is required story to continue Spire Mirages. Executor in this event technically is showing up after a vignette story in Operational Intelligence. Glimpse of the Depths is the Aegir and Iberia storyline. If you have heard of the Abyssal Hunters or the Seaborn, the storyline for those. Okay. Put myself up again. Granny and Knight's Treasure was the first ever event. Arknights, similar to Code of Brawl, it technically starts after Chapter 8, but does not reference it and can be played any time. While the timeline doesn't show it, it is also technically as the start of Under the Neon as well. Oh no. Go away. To the right on this timeline, you'll see these branches. Everything before Chapter 14 branch has a good reason to be read before Chapter 14. Okay. Under Ties is the first case we'll see of a story taking place after Chapter 14. For reasons I cannot say, and that timeline itself guides you to avoid. You should do this earlier. Exactly when is up to you. Okay. Huh. Release order spoils things? Intriguing. The Rhine Lab storyline, this is the primary Columbia storyline. Technically, operational intelligence gives some starting backstory here. Ooh. Mansfield Break doesn't have any immediately clear connections to MSQ based on dates. We know it takes place after Chapter 8, but it's not really relevant. Personally, I read Operational Intelligence, and you are good to go. Dorothy's vision and Lone Trail after it, similar to Under Tides, takes place after Chapter 14, but should be read before. As noted in the last page, the game itself pushes you to do this for good reasons. Oh. Okay. Through the Ages is the Sui storyline. These all take place in Yan, with Ancient Forge starting in Lungman and Rhodes Island. The storyline is unique, and in fact, that's technically the furthest in the timeline of event storyline. This is not immediately obvious, and is also not super important. We suspect as more story gets added here, it'll eventually converge with the MSQ. For now, it's just really good side story. Ancient Forge is a vignette. Unlike most others, it's basically one story in 3 parts. You can view this as a prologue through the ages. Who is Real and Onwards? I'd recommend just playing when you feel like it or gets time, since the storyline has not yet converged from the others. Outside of minor dialogue references, it's very much playable at your own pace. Under the Neon is the Kazimierz storyline, so generally follow the Neural family and takes place entirely between Chapter 8 and 9. This is most concise storyline in the game, making it very easy to binge between the major story arcs. It does come with the downside that it's a lot of reading about a single location. Generally, what happens in the storyline won't become important to MSQ again until Chapter 14, so if you find yourself wanting to mix things up, there's no problem. The second storyline started by Coda Brawl. This follows Texas from Penguin Logistics as she returns to her home of Siracusa, the once city-state of Leithanien. The story is technically happening at the same time as the Blessed. Generally, will start Illustrator Kazuno after Chapter 9, but before 14. Dave Veluti takes place after Chapter 14, but doesn't really relate to it. I would wait to read this until you finish Inspired Mirages, so I've read it before Master Travel for some extra context there. The Kjerag, Snow and Silver Steel is a pretty simple storyline, about 2 years between these 2 stories. Focus on Silverash and his family with some minor references to Under the Neon. Break the Ice takes place right before Chapter 9, but it's really related to anyway. Go to main story after this. 2 years after Break the Ice, which puts it after Lone Trail in Chapter 14. Recommend to read after Lone Trail, but before 14. However, this is not a hard rule by any means. The arc, this is the most important set of side stories to MSQ. The MSQ generally will always tell you when to come here. We won't go into much detail on these as they risk most spoilers. However, there's one story that should hold off and generally for the best experience. It is recommended, I would even go as far as to say nearly essential, to hold off on Babel until right before Chapter 14. It could be read earlier without technically spoiling anything, but it was released right before 14, and the context it provides is best learned after 13. I cannot stress enough how much reading this could affect your entire view of events. You have been warned. Okay. Holy fucking... And that's everything. If you are now asking questions, hey Drac, this is nice and all, but I want a specific listed read order to follow without needing to make my own decisions. Where's that? Well, wow. Well, wow, I don't think Arknights is the best read in one specific way due to how often stories overlap in timeline. I'll make a quick list here that is close to chronological as I can get, while also implementing one of the most best read here options. 1 through 46, we got MSQ chapter 0 through 4. Boom, we did that. Operational Intelligence, Stories of Afternoon, Children of Ursus. MSQ Chapter 5 and 6. Dark Knight's Memoir. Chapter 7. Walk in the Dust. Chapter 8. Mansfield Break. Granny and the Night Treasures. Heart of the Surging Flame. Ghostless Holiday. All into the Neon. Twilight of Woolmund. Court of Brawl. Rewinding Breeze here beyond. Preluding Lights and Light Spark in Darkness. Break the Ice. Vigolo. Chapter 9. The Great Chief returns. Come Catastrophe awakes of Vultures. Chapter 10. 11. What? The Firelight Cast Under Tides. Guide ahead. A Hortus de Escapissimo. Solang Adel. Lingering Echoes. Il Siracasano. MHQ chapters 12 and 13. Stoltefero Navis. The Black Forest Wills a Dream. Dorothy's a Vision and Lone Trail. Zwilhensturm Herbst. The Rides to Lake Stilbenhers. I Portori de Veluti. To the Grinning Valley. Babel, chapter 14. Ending a grand overture. When elegies are ashes. A Casdelian rescue. Ideal city. Adventure that cannot wait for the sun. Path of life and exodus from the pale sea. See you soon. Chapter 15. The Master's Travels. At any point, you can go read through the ages as a nice break. Have a little treat. Be continued. You should read after the invitation to wine. And that's it. Again, I'd recommend using pages. Before this, decide yourself what to read. I would only use the pages last resort if you don't know what to play next. Oh. First time here. Welcome to Arknights. Thank you, Sheik. That's a lot of reading. Yeah, it is a lot of reading. Holy schmolies. I'm a Project Moon fan. I can't read. Oops. Let's see. Also, credits. Let me myself. The credits by put together this document were obviously written and formatted by Drachnus 2009. Thank you, my mod. Love it. Accuracy reviewers were Sherry. Format and spelling reviewers were Sherry, Vipertooth, Neopostolish. I'm sorry. Zex and Zitania. Did you include it in the PowerPoint? Holy schmolies. Okay, so hold on a second. Boom, boom, pow, boom, 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 boom. Okay. Boom, 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 boom. Good movements. Default. Completion. Reward. Boom. Okay. Wow, they just did not like to want to give out characters anymore, I guess, after fucking year 5 or year 4. They were like, yeah, year 3, year 4, no characters for you at year 5 and year 6. Fuck you. Okay. I'm picking up what you're putting down. Digging it. Hell yeah. This is dope, actually. This is exactly what I want to see. I'll be honest. I'm kind of a hoe. I would probably follow something like this format. This is actually something similar to how I would interact. Oh, the year 5 stuff just hasn't rerun yet. The words are just locked out. They're not unlocked permanently yet. Whoopsies. Year 5 on, still waiting for reruns and such. Every event is free OP. Yep. I like this. This is dope. This is actually perfect. Now I have any questions, I have this saved in my computer.